After e4, c6, knight c3, d5, and knight f3, the Caro-Kann with 2 knights is on the board. So in this video, we're going to go through this move which we haven't seen before. Knight f6 immediately. So here, white continues with e5, attacking the knight. Now there's two options, knight e4, knight d7. Let's start from knight d7. Now white creates a solid center with d4. And now here, a lot of things can go wrong for black. This very simple move, e6, which is typical here, black creates some sort of French center. White has already got an advantage. Knight to g5 now. Believe it or not, it's the best move. It's not just a trap or some sort of beginner idea of trying to win quickly. It's the best move. The idea is to take the pawn in e6, which will force black to take back with the f pawn and create a weak diagonal. So if black plays, let's say, h6, knight takes. And after pawn takes, queen check. Only move is king. Moves where, okay, blocking with the pawn doesn't make any sense. And now white continues with simply bishop to d3. And look, black pieces can't move. Black can't move anything. This knight can only develop to a6. It doesn't do anything. The rook, the bishop, everybody's stuck. The king is in e7, blocking development of the bishop and the queen. So there's nothing that black can do. Let's make an example. Let's say black, knight to b6 with the idea of creating more space for the king to move. Even then, bishop g5 is enough to win the game because we're winning the queen, or black has to take the bishop. In that case, taking the rook is the best move. And after king to d7, these are computer moves for the black player to try and resist, because you know the computer doesn't resign. So now white continues with f4, opening the file, and yes, soon enough we're going to castle and the rooks are going to join the game and so on. Let's just play a random move just to continue the line, and then we will quickly go to the next lines. If pawn takes, then simply castle short. And after g5, still the best moves to, stop the rook from joining the game. White continues with h4. Obviously, you know why. You want to swap with these pawns so that the rook can play. And after bishop e7, queen h7, pinning the bishop. And soon we're going to take this pawn, and it's game over, right? So let's go from the start. The two knights, and then knight f6, Caro-Kann, right? Third move. Okay, attack the knight, knight d7, d4. And after e6, already knight g5 is the best move. So we know that h6 is bad. So what happens after this move? Bishop e7. The black player wants to castle as soon as possible and get out of trouble. Now white plays the crucial h4 move. This is thematic. The idea is that after the swaps, the pawn takes h4, and this rook will be super strong. Two options we're going to look at. Let's start with this one. Bishop takes, for instance. Then you take back with the pawn. Black can't move his pieces once again. And now white has a simple idea of playing queen to g4 and then play g6 and swap everything. So in this position, we're mentioning bishop takes, pawn takes. What happens after this move? f6, just to make an example of black willing to swap pawns so he can develop the knight and castle, play a normal game. Then simply take, and after take, check, king e7, now queen h4, preparing to take, and then bishop g5. And a move like queen to f8, putting more defense over the pawn, is met by bishop to f4. Again, black is completely paralyzed. The position is evaluated as if white was up like +4 or something like that. The white player is ready to castle, and black just cannot develop his pieces in any possible way. So once again, in this position, we went through bishop takes. What happens if instead black castles? Simply here we continue with queen h5, threatening checkmate in one move. And after h6, stopping it. Well, we know if bishop takes and pawn takes, it's game over, right? Fairly obviously. So if h6, white continues with rook h3. And now the move f6 is not possible to try and get rid of this knight because of knight e6, winning the game. Let's see what happens after c5. It's thematic move in this case. Black is trying to play on the center, try to break the pawn structure and develop the knight, the queen, and so on. White plays rook g3, continuing the plan. Again, if pawn takes back, and then the rook can simply go back to h3. It's not a problem. If black plays, let's say, a normal move, knight to c6, white continues with knight to f3. It's important to see that the black player cannot unpin the pawn in g7 by playing king to h7 because of development. Bishop d3 check, and the pawn here will be met by too many attackers, so it's not possible. And when the king goes back to h8, also because king here will be met by, the queen is able to take the pawn. So after king h8, rook g7 is the move. So rook takes, king takes, and now the queen is available to take this square because of the protection of the bishop. So in this position, what happens after c takes d4, right? The black player is continuing his attack in the center. Then best move is bishop takes the pawn in h6. You can give up the knight. You can figure out how to continue this game. It's completely over. From the start, e4, c6, the two knights, and knight f6. Okay, attack the knight, knight d7, d4. What happens if black doesn't play e6, but prefers going to c5 first? Here the best move is again knight g5. It's threatening e6, so if pawn takes pawn, e6, threatening checkmate in one move. This cannot be met with f6, of course, because of knight f7, forking the two pieces. And there's nothing here for black. If black goes queen a5 to pin the knight, threaten some discover attacks afterwards or something like that, then simply take the pawn in d4. And the idea is to take in d5 and simplify everything. The knights here will be giving not only checkmate but just a lot of threats. The knight cannot go to a6 because you can take it. So here in this position, if rook to g8, saving the rook from the knight, again, queen to d5 simplifies everything. This will have happened even if black had played knight to c6, right? So in this position with threatening mate, if black takes the pawn, white continues with the great move, bishop to b5, ignoring the knight being attacked, not recapturing here, not going here, nothing like that. Bishop b5 is pinning the knight, which means if black takes the knight in c3, we're giving up a piece, queen f3 threatens checkmate, and the knight cannot go to f6 to stop us. Again, queen to b6 now here, giving a space for the king, doesn't work because of queen f7, king moves to d8, but then knight e6 is checkmate, well, except for the queen. So the queen will have to sacrifice, and then we will win the queen. Queen to b6 doesn't work. Queen to a5, threatening discover check. No, because you simply do this move, and then king moves, and then you checkmate. So in this position, it's already game over.